Hello and welcome to Tech and HSR. This video covers three types of AI you might encounter in research environments. As an IRB professional, you've probably seen protocols start mentioning machine learning or predictive algorithms and wondered how you should review them. While you may need expert consultation in some cases, you're not going to need it in all cases. And so this video helps you understand when you might need that expertise and why. But it's also going to help you understand how to conduct effective oversight and knowing what role the AI is actually playing. So when you see AI mentioned in a protocol, you ask, well, what role is it actually playing? Is it just a tool for analysis? Is it just like a fancy calculator? Or is it the thing being evaluated? Or is it working behind the scenes, more in operations? So answering that question is crucial because it dictates your entire review. So here's the framework. Type 1, AI as a research tool. That's a method, right? For example, analyzing data. Type 2 is AI as the topic or the subject of the research. So the AI system is being evaluated. And then type 3 is AI in administration or operations. So essentially, the AI is running the research infrastructure to some extent. So this framework gives you a practical way to think through AI in your review instead of getting bogged down in technical jargon. It's going to help you zero in on the functional role that AI is playing in any given research study. So first up, type 1, where AI is used as a research tool. Essentially, what that means is the AI is used as a method, for example, to analyze data. The research question is about the research participant, so it's not going to be about the AI. Think of it as an instrument that the research team uses. It's a method, it's not the thing being researched. What does this tool look like? Right? A researcher using AI to find themes in interview transcripts might be a tool. A team might use AI to analyze social media posts to track disease outbreaks. In these cases, the AI is working on data that has already been collected and it's not interacting or influencing anybody's lives directly or indirectly. So, the critical regulatory focus for you is ensuring there are no questions about the tool's performance, accuracy, or reliability. You read through the protocol and you make sure that no data is being captured about the AI's performance. When reviewing these kinds of projects, then you're still asking standard questions about data privacy, security, everything that you would ask in a normal research project. But you might want to still require documented evidence that the tool is being used as it was marketed for. If it hasn't been legally marketed, you might want to ask why and what the regulatory status of that product is. Once you review the marketing information on it and confirm that the tool is in fact being used as it was intended to be used for that specific group that it was intended to be used for, and that the training data matches the target population of deployment, then you can move forward in your normal review. If not, and the output could skew results, right? Because it has not been validated, then it's going to compromise scientific validity and harm participants. And that requires a more rigorous review. Okay, so let's move on to a more complex situation, which is type 2, when AI is not just a tool. It's actually the focus of the research in part or in whole. So in this case, the AI tool is being evaluated. The research question includes the AI tool's performance, accuracy, safety, or effectiveness. So in this case, the AI tool is being evaluated. The research question includes the AI tool's performance, accuracy, safety, or effectiveness, right? So this is where your oversight becomes critical and when you might want an expert to chime in. So examples of AI as the subject or the topic of the research might look like some clinical decision support tools, a model that generates a risk score, or an algorithm that guides treatment decisions. So in these examples, the AI output is directly impacting research participants. The stakes are immediately higher. The AI is not just analyzing data anymore, it's actively shaping a participant's experience and potentially their health outcomes or life outcomes, or any decision making that would happen on behalf of them. So the primary risks may involve direct impact on participant health and safety. Additionally, opacity challenges or that lack of clarity of informed consent. And these tools likely constitute, the ones listed here, likely constitute software as a medical device and therefore could be subject to 21 CFR 56, 812, and 820 or 810. You might be thinking, well, it might be a little bit difficult to determine if the AI is truly a tool or if it's being studied. So, in previous presentations at Tech and HSR, we emphasized the importance of reading the intended use statement. Now, if you want to learn more about that, you can visit here by scanning the QR code and learning more about what an intended use statement is. Essentially, here's the key question. Is the AI legally marketed and validated for this specific use? If no, in other words, it's not just a tool, and in fact, it is being evaluated or used in new environments, then we can continue to process it as an investigational product. But if the study team claims it's just a tool, then we have to follow a few steps before we can move forward. So the first step here on your right is to get documentation that confirms that the tool is currently legally marketed. We want to know that it is properly validated for the proposed use. And if applicable, it is FDA cleared or approved for this use. And it is not used off label. What does that mean? That means it's not being used for different populations, different intent, or different end users compared to what it was originally marketed for. So the critical point is if the study tests or collects data on the tool's performance, more than likely it is going to be considered an investigational product. Now, if they still claim it's just a tool, you may want to ask why they are seeking performance data on the tool and if that data is going to be reported to anyone or if such data is going to be published, and if so, what are the intended claims? So, to put this into perspective, it may help to have a case study of when a seemingly harmless tool becomes an investigational device. Here's a case study. A study proposes using an adult depression screening AI that was validated on adults 18 to 65 years of age. The study proposes using the AI app to screen adolescents ages 12 to 17 for depression. The app analyzes questionnaire responses, smartphone usage patterns, social media, and typing behaviors. So it's been validated in multiple adult clinical trials. It works. At first pass, that seems pretty legit, right? But here's the problem. The AI learned from adults what a concerning behavior might look like. But teenagers, as I know, are not small adults. They have mood swings, sleep disruption, impulsive behavior, hormonal changes. These are normal adolescent development changes and they may or may not be depression symptoms. But if we use this tool as is, the AI will flag typical 15-year-olds as high risk for depression. So that's not a validated tool. That's an investigational device being tested on a completely different developmental population. And we know that validation for adults does not transfer to children. So we can compare this, for example, if you're still not sold, to the use of, let's say, a drug, maybe ibuprofen. That is legally marketed, it is FDA approved, but adult doses of ibuprofen are not approved for certain young people, toddlers, non-adults. So if a study proposed the use of ibuprofen for any certain condition or pain management and administered at an adult dosing level, then the IRB would typically call that out. Why are we giving these kids an adult dose? How might that look in a publication? If we claim that it was effective, could it be suggestive that the higher adult dose is equally effective for kids for a given condition? What kinds of risks might that even introduce to these kids? And this is why it's critical for IRBs to require and evaluate the documented evidence for the tool's approved and validated use compared to how it is actually being used in the study, regardless of how the study team presents it in their IRB application. So now our third category is often the easiest to miss, and that is type 3, which is AI in research operations or administration. So this type of AI is used to run the research infrastructure and is often not listed in the scientific methods section of the IRB protocol. Examples of this might be, for example, consent form simplification, such as reducing the language to be understandable to a more lay audience, or even perhaps creating graphs and visuals to support reading comprehension. Administrative AI might support the informed consent process by including videos or answering pre-templated yes/no questions. Administrative AI might even help with IRB protocol development and submission processes, or even participant scheduling. Because it's a part of the administrative infrastructure, maybe a system that the institution bought through some license, then it might not end up showing up in the protocol method section. So similar to what we saw in the AI as a tool type, right? However, it's if we do see any mention of capturing data on the performance, safety, or effectiveness of that tool, or if the tool is an added aim of the study, then that's a red flag. These tools may fall into the AI as a subject of research category, which would require you asking more questions about that tool. The reason is because not only might they be investigational and touch on other regulations, maybe 21 CFR, but these systems can and are known to introduce systemic bias and coercion without ever being flagged as AI research. So here's another example of AI in administration, which is AI recruitment algorithms. And these don't come without risks. These tools were developed by learning from historical trial data. Now that sounds logical until you ask, what does that historical data actually represent? It represents decades of researchers excluding certain populations due to various things, financial limitations. For example, English-speaking patients already in the hospital system, or insured patients who are easy to track. People who live nearby might also be in that, but what it does not represent, the uninsured patient whose eligibility is there, but they are hard to reach, the non-English speaker who needs translation support, but the study cannot afford that, or the person without stable housing who could still participate with the right accommodations, but the study couldn't afford it or didn't incorporate that into their funding. The AI does not know these people were excluded by choice. It just learns that they're not typical participants, so it filters them out. The algorithm automates historical exclusion and calls it efficiency, and that's the opposite of equitable selection under our IRB requirements. Your question would be, is this tool perpetuating discrimination from past trials? Now, another type of AI administration risk includes screening and consent chatbots. The main problem that remains a known issue is that these LLMs, for example, chatbots, tend to hallucinate, meaning that they fabricate and produce confident answers that sound authoritative, but they can be and often are completely wrong or misleading. And without proper guardrails, they can provide medical advice that they are not designed, qualified, or validated to give. So some key IRB questions might be, what content filters prevent the chatbot from fabricating answers or giving medical advice? Does the click-through ease undermine informed consent as a meaningful process? Is there a human in the loop to answer any complex questions? Some major risks that come out of this type of use is obviously misinformation, and that compromises informed consent, and that crosses into FDA device territory without proper oversight. So to wrap up this presentation video for Series 1, Session 1, here's your reviewer checklist. First, when reviewing an AI study, identify the AI's role. Is it just a tool? Is it the topic or the subject of the research? Or is it truly an operational or administrative tool? Second, if the study team claims it is just a tool, then you have to verify it. Get documentation and check for validation gaps. Third, you want to apply the right oversight questions for that specific type. And lastly, document your reasoning. So in our next session, we're going to apply the AI HSR decision tree to the real protocol scenarios. Please complete the pre-session reading and download the decision tree before we meet. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in session 2.